Games Workshop made a huge announcement, in theory. It might not be that big. Quite a big announcement, let's say, over the new year, which was the announcement that they will be going to a season model, where we will have seasons. Every 6 months we'll get new books, new mission structures, and new chapter-approved stuff. And a Warzone book. Some people are very, very unhappy with this. Put them into red alert. Look at that, I pressed the button and got the red light on. Red alert, angry mode. People are acting really pissed off about this. Overreacting. I think the majority are overreacting. That includes you, Discourse Minis. Your video is very over the top if we're completely honest and frank about it. Before I really deep dive into exactly why I think this isn't that big a deal, I do want to quickly go through exactly what's happening with it, because I probably haven't been very clear. They have listed that every 6 months we'll be going to a new part of the universe in a rolling story. There'll be a Warzone book with it. There'll be a Crusade pack available as well if you're into that, and there'll be chapter approved alongside a points list that comes in with that as well, so points totals can change every 6 months. The Battle Tome update that we had a little while back, that wasn't mentioned, but people have been saying how that should be coming in alongside it, so we might even get like a mid-season update, and it all ties in with the release schedule of Kill Team. We'll be getting new model lines in Kill Team as well each season as we go. The main reason that people are pissed off with Seasons is because Seasons evokes the idea of DLC, of season pass sort of stuff like we see with EA Games, Activision, everything nowadays, right? Like Magic the Gathering Arena has a battle pass each and every month you buy into. DLC seasons are often where content is pulled out and sold back to you over time, or locked behind a paywall that you buy into. There is a possibility that we will see some of this. I won't lie to you, I think the Warzone books are dog shit. I've done an entire video saying how fucking wank they are. So I'm not here to defend Games Workshop's grubby, money-grabbing strategies. I'd actually go as far as to say, don't buy the fucking books if you think they're shit. But the season thing is not new. Now that's not a defense of being a money-grabbing bastard, because just because something is currently happening doesn't mean it can't improve or be changed or be critiqued and changed, right? Like, just because it was shit before doesn't mean it has to continue being shit. But this season thing is kind of a transparency and honesty with us about when updates are coming for both narrative, crusade, and matched play. It's formalizing the model. It's being referred to as mask off by some people, but I think it's more formalization and honesty and transparency. As a primarily matched play player, look, I like casual and story and narrative, and I listen to the books and I come up with headcanon. I love painting, but I really like competitive matched play. Not looking to win any tournaments, but I enjoy playing in those environments. I'm excited to see the game balanced and change on a regular 6-month rolling cycle. Things can get stagnant and old, and some of the new rules, especially like the Drukhari Codex for example, have been absolutely fucking wild and needing fixing. So it's good to know that every 6 months we will have an update. So worst case scenario, the point list that comes with the new Grand Tournament pack will update things. I would hope there's more regular points updates on top of that, like the data sheets that came out free to update some of the factions that are flagging behind with no codex for this edition, or just points updates mid-season, but at least it gives us a formal date that we know things will change. In addition to that, I do like the ever-evolving mission structure. This will be our 3rd update. We've gone through 3 different versions of the data reconnaissance secondary objective, for example, where ROD, the Retrieve Octarius data, has been very popular for a while. It's now becoming Macmund or Vigilus or whatever it is data, which will be a whole different variant where bikers can do it. And do you know what that does? It shakes the metagame up. This is both good and bad in many ways. There's pros and cons to this. The downside is that you might have painted up an army ready to, for example, I built Crusaders for the Sister Battle to do Retrieve Octarius data, and now that's not doable with a smaller units. Those Crusaders will probably never see any competitive play until the next update makes them viable for some sort of secondary or mission structure. But the point I'm getting at is it makes things fresh and interesting. Units that might have been shit before, like basic biker units in the Space Marines, for example, might now see some play because they have play to them. They can interact with the mission structure more because the missions are ever evolving to shift and make the metagame not stale. There's a problem for 40k at the moment where infantry is probably a little bit too good, because the terrain dense boards means being able to breach and move through the terrain to get shots and angles is making them better than most anti-tank that comes on a gun platform or tank, for example. Changing your secondaries and how the missions are laid out can change how that's weighted in the game. They have to take away the ability for infantry to breach buildings, but making bikers, in this case, for example, more useful by being able to retrieve data is a way to make those units more playable. And they can make units less playable too. They can balance things out by cutting things out. Like if they stopped infantry from being able to raise banners. Very bad example, because that would be thematically not on point, but it's an example of what I mean. They can evolve and adjust the game and shake the metagame up when it gets stale, or one army, like the Drukhari still is too good. Now, there are some problems with that, like I said. You might have painted up your army and you get fucked by it. They can also use this to make you have to buy more models, which is definitely a thing they're probably aware of. So I'm very scared for them to, use this stuff to adjust to make older models worse and newer models better. But in all fairness, I don't think we've seen them selling new kits with power creep when the Paragon warsuits come out and they're dog shit. Meanwhile, the Thousand Suns Codex made the Scarab Terminators obscenely good. Like, I don't think that's really their strategy, because I don't think they're competent enough to do that. Look at the Drukhari model range. They haven't even revamped it, and basically every fucking unit in the codex is insane. So I don't think they're selling models off the rules as much as people claim them to be. Warhammer players really need to chill the fuck out. The other downside to this is having to keep up. Like, newer players might find this difficult to get in and access everything. Like, you start out building your list, and what books do you need? What's an army of renown? Where's my Imperial Fist supplement? And so on and so on. But ultimately, that is complicated. Warhammer was complicated when I got into it at the end of 8th as well, similarly with a lot of bloat and random books. But Battlescribe and Wahapedia made it easier for me, and we should endorse them as a community. I know Games Workshop want these fucking things gone, and they'll try to get rid of them again in the future, and I hope they fail, because their app is shit. And rules, like army list building rule stuff, should be the easiest thing to get hold of. In my opinion, it should all be free. What I'm getting at here is there are cheap or free community resources that make the accessibility of the game easy. On top of that, because of those community projects like Wahapedia and Battlescribe, you don't really need to buy any of these books unless you want to. I actually really like the codices. I bought all the ones for the armies that I play. The only one I'm currently missing is Drukhari, but I don't really play Drukhari. I've only just recently picked some of them up. I picked them up because I like the flavour and the lore and the pictures. I just think they're good, fun books. But I do believe the rules and the data sheets and stuff, I would have it all be free and have those things be like fucking coffee table books that you're selling at a higher premium, fancier looking books, honestly. And Wahapedia and Battlescribe kind of makes that a reality. They are giving out the rules for free. So a newer player or someone who just doesn't want to play at a tournament doesn't need to buy any of these fucking books. Honestly, if you don't like the constant change of the GT mission pack, because you only play once every 4 or 5 months and it confuses you to have to change up how you play, fuck it all off and just play with old missions. Mikey from Helpstone Wargaming made a great succinct point that he's put into a video that I'll link in the description below, where he's like, if you are a casual player or a narrative player, you don't need these books. Hell, I would argue match play players don't need it thanks to Wahapedia and Battlescribe. But if you're not playing at a tournament where they ask you, one of the requirements is to take books along with you, you don't need these fucking books. You don't need to buy them. If you hate the new secondaries, or you just hate the secondaries changing, fuck it off, just play 2021. Or, as I did, we played a big match last weekend, or the weekend before, with two friends of mine, 2v1. We just played 2020, because 2021 wasn't to hand. I couldn't be bothered to go find it, dig around in my room to find it. My friends hadn't played any 2021, so I was like, fuck it, we'll just play 2020. And you know what? The game went pretty fucking smooth, and everyone had fun. You don't need every book to make things work. There is a possibility that they will carve things out of books to put into the Warzone books and the GT books and so on and so on. Like, for example, what they did with some of the Dark Eldar, the Drukhari rules. They put them into one of the Warzone books, and the same with Sisters of Battle as well. There's a lot of stuff carved out of that codex and stuck in a Warzone book. And it's day one DLC. There's no other way to cut it. It's day one DLC. The Warzone books are wank. I've been on record saying this for quite some time, and I still stand by it. But they were already doing that. Doesn't excuse them doing it, but it doesn't make the season idea bad. If anything, as a predominantly match play player who attends tournaments, I'm excited for it. I think it keeps the game fresh and interesting, and perhaps as close to balance as a game like Warhammer can never get. Today's video, by the way, was going to be heavily scripted and really in-depth and a lot tighter than this, but I got really in the weeds about doing a video about fart jars, so this is a much quicker, rambling, sort of ranty video, if anything. So fuck the books. Don't buy them. I'm not going to buy them. Well, that's not true. I'm going to buy the GT book and I'll buy codices, but I'm not going to buy the Warzone books. There's a hard stance I've taken that I don't agree with day one DLC. And there will be the whales out there that will buy everything, and maybe this seasonal rotating structure is designed to engage them in a process that gets as much money out of them as possible. But the great thing about tabletop gaming, which is way better than it is with digital products like Magic the Gathering Arena or any digital products like League of Legends or Legends of Runeterra or Hearthstone, is that ultimately all of your bits, all of your toys, your books and your models are there for you to play with however the fuck you want. There are people out there who still play fantasy battles after Games Workshop wisely, inverted commas, fucked it off, right? There are people out there who still play 2nd, 2.5 and 3rd edition of D&D. Hell, there might be some fucking weirdos that play 4th edition D&D, even though 5th ed now exists. The great thing about tabletop is you can play whatever the fuck you want. You can play missions, as Mikey points out in his video, you can play missions for an old fucking 2nd edition missions if you want, just gotta rejig them and agree on the rejigments between you and your opponent. Now, that doesn't work for tournaments if you're engaged with a tournament scene, you're a match player like me, but I'm talking about the casuals and the narrative players. Like, I don't really see why you're fucking complaining about the season thing, because it doesn't really matter that much. I think Warhammer players, much like Magic players, love to fucking complain. And there's often a lot of stuff to complain about. Let's be honest about that. Games Workshop and Wizards of the Coast are not perfect. If anything, they seem to stumble all the fucking time into PR blunders and fuck-ups. But ultimately, I think people are very quick to lose their shit over nothing. Like with the Railgun and the new Eldar models. Both of those things have got people up in arms, which is crazy. The Railgun, we don't know any points cost for yet. We don't know the stats for Hammerhead is attached to. And people are losing their fucking minds like Tower Broken. And that is insane. On the other side of it, we've all been clamoring for new Eldar models for the longest time. It's been a talking point in several of my videos about how Eldar and CSM and Tyranids 2 all get kind of dunked on by Games Workshop, whether it be old model lines or old and unupdated rules in the CSM case. So to see them actually just go, fuck it, we're going to remake the Guardians, and we're probably going to see more than that. A new Avatar, probably new Aspect Warriors too, let's be real. But to see people fucking moan about the Guardian kit on Facebook groups and online, when they're actually giving you what you want, is actually insane. It's like they just can't win. And in some ways it's nice to see a player base be so fucking passionate, but it's also kind of cringe to see us all fucking complain about everything. Complain when rules are broken, like the Drukhari Codex. Complain when they cut things out of your book and stick it in another thing like they do with the Warzone stuff. All of that is valid criticism. But try not to complain about the smallest, dumbest fucking stuff, because it makes the community sound collectively like crybabies. Just punch my mic there. And then we don't get listened to. Like, there are people at GW who may or may not read the comment sections on Reddit and stuff like that. I don't publicly say they do, and they probably never would admit to it. But there will be some of them that do have a little bit of an idea of what's being said online, right? But if all they get is overwhelming noise and criticism about every aspect of the fucking game, then we're never going to really get them to think about the things that do matter. That said, you could also take the real cynical stance that GW game designers have no input in the game whatsoever, and it's all about money, 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 boardroom, boardroom, boardroom. If that was the case, all the new models would have the way better rules, and all the old models would have shit rules, right? But that doesn't seem to be the case. Anyway, that's been me rambling for about 10-15 minutes straight about the new seasonal thing. I think it's fucking exciting. I want to see balance and updates every 6 months. That sounds fucking sick. But I also come from a game of Magic where every set changes the game. We get updates every month or two, so this feels like a slow pace, if anything. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Am I being too, nice to GW here? I probably am, because everyone fucking hates Games Workshop, right? But I do think we need to stop fucking moaning and overreacting about every damn thing. Seasons are fine. If you don't like the books, don't fucking buy them. Seems like an obvious point, but it's true if you're just playing casual play at home with your friends. Anyway, hopefully I'll have some beginner-friendly content coming up in the next couple of weeks. If you are currently getting into Warhammer and you don't want this in the weed shit and you want new, I'm getting started stuff, there'll be some of that. There'll be some more Magic content later in the week. Don't forget to subscribe, smash that bell and all that fucking shit. And I'll see you soon. Ta-ta for now.